Hello, I'm Kayla Thompson, the author of Supernatural Fantasy and Dark Romance. Get ready with me as I get ready for work tonight. So I work overnight shifts. It's daylight outside. I literally slept all day because I got to be well energized for these night shifts because they're not for the week. But anyway, let's talk about my books that I've wrote. I'm going to go ahead and start the process of washing my face, brushing my teeth. Let's get started on these things. Let's talk about my journey and what led me to writing books. And I'm going to pin this here so I won't have to hold on to the microphone. So let's get started. So, writing, what it means to me, why I started doing it, when I started doing it, was when I was 13 years old and my mom bought me my first diary. That's where it all began. When my mom bought me my first diary at 13. I could not stop writing in that diary. I just basically documented anything my entire day. And and that's when I started like, you know what? I am enjoying this. I am liking this. I'm liking writing. And then it started turning to more than just like. It just started turning into love and then a passion. And then I was like, okay. So I wrote in my diary. I started at 13 and I wrote all the way 15, all the way up until I was like, how long did I write in my diary? All the way up until I was like in my 20s, till I was 20 years old. But so after I started getting, developing love for writing, I was like, okay, it's time to do something else. What else can I do with my writing skill that I've gained since writing in this diary? So I was like, you know what? I'm going to start writing poems. I started writing poetry and I used to perform it, spoken words, and it was so fun. I loved it. And then after that, I was like, okay, I want to do something else. I want to do something else. So I started writing short stories, and then I started. Once I got in high school, I wrote this screenplay for my class. Now I tell this story all the time, so you probably see a video on my page somewhere of me talking about this briefly. But anyway, so I wrote a screenplay for my class as instructed by my drama teacher. And once I wrote it, it was like, it went up from there. Like my teacher, she saw the potential I had. She was like, you have great writing skills. Like this could really go somewhere for you. And, after I wrote it, the class had to perform it. I wrote a script and the group that I was in, they had to perform the script. So we had two tasks in the group, the actors and the writer. And of course, they picked me to be the writer. And so I just executed it so well. And then so she was like, you know what? She contacted my mom, did my drama teacher. She contacted my mom and was like, your daughter has a skill. She's very good at writing, and I'd like to put her in this program, at a chance to earn a scholarship. Mm, 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm done brushing my teeth. Now I'm going to move on to washing my face. So back to the story. So my drama teacher called my mom and was like, I'd like to enroll her in this program for writers, and the program was just like, okay, let me set an example of what the program was like. Okay, if you ever seen Camp Rock on Disney Channel, the program was literally like that. It was called Summer Scholars at, I believe, MSU, Mississippi State University in Starksville. And when I when I when I got there, because of course my mom agreed to letting me go, I had to complete, I believe, a 2 to 3 week. The program was 2 to 3 weeks, and I had to complete it in order to gain said scholarship. And I only completed a week there, but we'll get into that on how my scholarship got squandered. And I was in like, I believe, ninth grade. I was in ninth grade when this happened. And so this is what I'm using to wash my face, if you must know. But anyway, so I got there and I completed a week of the program because my mom ended up having to pick me up, pull me from the program because she couldn't afford to, you know, keep up with the food. And that's all she had to pay for was food for me to stay there and for me to wash my clothes. And she ended up pulling me because she couldn't afford it. And then plus it was way in Starksville, and at the time we lived about an hour away from Starksville, so she didn't want to keep having to drive out there. Okay, where's my, oh Lord, on my rag. But anyway, so I lost my scholarship and I cried like a big baby. I cried hard. And my drama teacher, she called my mom's phone as we was on the way leaving from Starkville. And she said she wanted my mom to put me on the phone. So she basically like she ripped she ripped into me. Like she was like, "Oh, you're a quitter. Why would you leave? Why'd you leave?" Mind you, I'm in ninth grade. I'm like 14 years old. I have no say so. If it was up to me, if I was able to be able to afford it at 14, I would have stayed it there. So she's ripping into me saying I'm a quitter. Do I want to be a quitter? I should turn back around and go back right now and complete the program because I have a talent. And I respect it. I respect that she truly believed in me that much and she really wanted me to do this. But at the same time, I do understand that she paid for me to be there too. I didn't realize that until later on that she paid for me to be at the program. And so that's probably why she was also upset because she paid for me to be there. She paid for my dorm because we were staying in dorms on the campus at MSU, and it was in around summer. And she paid for everything for me to be there, but my mom all she had to pay for was food and laundry, and she couldn't afford it, so I had to get ripped from the program. Yeah, ripped from the program, and I was really sad about it. That's a vital, memorable moment in my life, and it really hurt me. I do like a couple washes on my face, by the way. I just don't do one. Anyway, back to the story. So I developed my love for writing, and then after that, I'm like, I'm writing books. Started writing books. Excuse me, my hair is wet across my forehead. Started writing books. Best thing I ever did because I'm writing still to this day. And I was at first I'm like, okay, what genre of book should I write in? I don't even know my genre, my niche as a writer. Is it romance? Is it urban fiction? I'm like, I don't know. I got to figure it out. But I found it. I love supernatural fantasy. I fell in love with it when I started writing my book called A Witch's Journal. I started writing the first one, and then it turned into like, okay, I love this. So it's so much to explain here to where I was like, okay, I got to turn this into a series. So I ended up turning A Witch's Journal into a book series because I really got into it. Like I really got into my writing bag on that, and then really took it away with that. And so now it's a 4-part book series. At first, I'm like, okay, one book, and then it turned into 2 books, and then it turned to 3 books. Now it's 4, and I'm gonna keep it at 4 too. I'm not gonna go up anymore. It's gonna stay a 4-part book series. But let's get into this book. By the way, I don't know if I'm putting these on right or not. Don't judge me. But I feel like I might be putting them on right. I don't know. But so once I got into that, I'm like, okay, I love this. I love supernatural fantasy. And then I was like, okay, I want to write more supernatural fantasy things. And then I started writing My Bed is Haunted. So yeah, that's really good. But it initially, I'll tell you where that book idea come from later. But right now, I want to finish telling you a little bit more about A Witch's Journal. But right now, I'm gonna hop in the shower, hop out, and then I'll continue to get ready with you guys. I am back and I just had a good shower. Now I'm ready to do my makeup. So let's get started. Go ahead and pin this on my shirt. So back to the story. So I love, as I was saying, I love supernatural fantasy. And what happened was I fell in love with the Vampire Diaries, the originals, things of that nature. Um, I've watched Teen Wolf. I didn't watch the last season of Teen Wolf, no, because I got so engulfed in Vampire Diaries and the original to where I just completely abandoned Teen Wolf. But and another show I enjoyed was Salem. I enjoyed that show. And what else? What else? What else? What else? I love all the underworlds. I quite enjoyed those. Sorry, I'm moisturizing my face before I get started. I fell in love with those things, so that's what prompted me to write a witch's journal. And to be honest, Vampire Diaries is literally like my top favorite out of all the other shows I've watched. And what inspired me to write a witch's journal is Bonnie Bennett on the show Vampire Diaries. Because if you watch the show, you can see how Bonnie Bennett did not get a happy ending on that show. So I have to create a character that, that's a witch and gets her happy ending. It's like redemption or whatever for Bonnie Bennett on Vampire Diaries. That's what I would call it. So if you like Vampire Diaries, the originals, witches, then you would like a witch's journal. So there's that on that series. And then My Bed is Haunted. So how that came about was my daughter, she's 11 years old, Bella. Her name is Bella. She actually was like, Mom, I want to write a book. She see me write all the time, so she instantly got inspired, to want to write a book. So I'm like, okay, well, we can work on one together. Like, you give me ideas, I'll be your ghostwriter, technically. And I wrote the book. She told me, she shared some ideas, and I was like, okay, I'll incorporate it in the book. So initially, the protagonist in the book, her name Marianne, she was supposed to be 11 years old, but I wanted to make her a little older, because I wanted to make her smarter, and wiser. So at 11, the decisions and the stuff she faced, it just wasn't measuring up to the average 11-year-old. So I wanted to make her a little older so she could have a little bit more wits about herself. So I ended up making her 14. And it's really good. My Bed is Haunted. This one is about ghosts, the dead, possessions, murder, mystery, serial killer. A serial killer with a ritual kill. Hmm? So if you don't know what a ritual kill is, you can check out the show called Dexter. He has a ritual kill. He only killed bad guys, and he keeps a blood slide from every victim. And so I kind of wanted to throw that into the book, he's kind of like a Dexter Morgan guy, but completely unhinged version of Dexter. Because Dexter, he, like I said, he killed only bad guys. This guy, this serial killer in My Bed is Haunted, he just killed a certain aesthetic, and I'm gonna keep it at that because I don't want to give too much away from the book because I want you guys to read it. But anyway, so I'm over here, I'm prepping myself because I'm about to put lashes on because I look dead around the eyes. So, and why the bed is haunted is because those are the victims. These girls died at the hands of this serial killer, and they're all linked to this bed because some of them died there, some of them didn't die there, you know, but their souls are still linked to that bed somehow. But Marianne, she goes on this mystery dive into trying to figure out, about this Mark Shepard guy, which is her soon to be stepfather, because her mother is currently engaged to him. And so she go on this dive on trying to find out what is so strange about this guy. I can't put my finger on it, but I just don't like this guy. He is very sus. So she go on this mystery dive and she finds out a lot about this Mark Shepard guy and his secrets and everything he's done. And she wants to call the police, but she's scared it's going to jeopardize her family. They all live in this big mansion together, and so she was kind of afraid to tell her mom. But she did try to warn her mom about him. And of course, she's so in love with the guy, like she didn't really kind of fully believe Marianne. She thought Marianne was under a lot of stress, given that she lost her father a few years ago. So she's like, "You're just stressed out. You choosing not to like him because you still mourning your father's death, and you still, coping with that, and you're choosing not to like him." So that's her mother's standpoint. And so she's like, "Look, uh." I know that I am under a lot of stress, and yes, I am still grieving my father. But this guy right here that you're engaged to, something is off with this guy. But her mother named Annie, she was not believing that. That girl was in love. And Marianne, she did feel a way about her mother moving on, but her father had been dead for years, so it's okay for you to move on after, you lost someone. I know the world like to make people feel like they're not allowed to move on after they lose their significant other, but you're allowed to move on. So she did that, but it took, according to Marianne, she felt like, this guy is new in the picture and she just met him a couple of years ago. So She did try to, give him the benefit of the doubt, but then she later on finds out that no, this guy isn't, all that recent. My mom has been talking to this guy. Even when she was married to my father, she was having an affair with this Mark Shepard guy. She finds that out and she completely lose her shit. I'm telling you, she completely lose her shit. This 14-year-old girl, she's like, I cannot believe you cheated on my father. That's why you didn't answer the phone when he was calling, when he was, on his way out, when he was getting ready a little before he died in a plane crash. As the plane was taking a nosedive, he called Annie, Marianne's mom, phone to, say his goodbyes because he knew he wasn't gonna make it. But she didn't pick up because she was in the midst of having an affair with Mark Shepard, aka the serial killer. And so Marianne finds this out. She couldn't believe it. So the only person Marianne's father got in touch with was her. Her brother Finn, he did try to call Finn before he died, but he's a lazy kid. So he was asleep. He was knocked out after playing a long game of Call of Duty. He was knocked out. It was late night too. And so he wasn't able to get in touch. So the only person he was able to say his final goodbyes to was Marianne. So it broke her. That message sticks with her, till that day. And so she was really hurt. And so once she found out that her mother was cheating on her father and the reason, he didn't get to say his goodbyes to her because she was out having an affair with Mark Shepard, it completely broke Marianne's heart and made her kind of resent her mother just a bit, just a bit. And but Marianne is a mature girl. She do understand that people do make mistakes, so she did forgive her mother eventually. But it was not easy to process that for a 14-year-old. So again, so she's still trying to spy on Mark Shepard. She eventually gets in the trunk of his car one day when he was, getting ready to. She thought he was going to do one of his ritual kills and she wanted to catch him in the act. How brave of this girl, right? She wants to go catch this serial killer in the act. So she gets in the trunk of his car and goes wherever he goes. But instead, he wasn't doing a ritual kill that night. He was actually, I'm going to tell you 1 second. So, Mark Shepard, let's get into this. So, Mark Shepard, father, right? Let me tell you how Mark Shepard got this mansion with the haunted bed. It was inherited, it was passed down to him after his father died. But his father actually faked his death, you know? Father actually faked his death, and because he didn't want any parts of, he faked his death because he didn't want any parts of basically Mark Shepard and what he doing, because he found out that his son is the town serial killer. And instead of ratting on him, he decided to flee, and fake his death. But that didn't last long. Mark Shepard found that out, and once he found that out, he would sneak and meet up with his father to chat with him, about basically Marianne, because he finds out that Marianne is on to him. She's on to him. She's on to his shit. And he feel like that she's gonna be the reason he get caught. So he got to go consult with his father and figure out how to get out of what he's in. And so Marianne, so when she gets in that trunk, she goes where he goes to meet up with his father, Ben Shepherd. And that's when she sees that, Ben is still alive. And she's like, what the? Dude faked his death? Why? And then she basically cracked the code throughout the book, she finds out and she solved this mystery, this murder mystery in this book. Impressive, that girl, isn't she? But it's really good if you are a huge fan of supernatural fantasy, murder mystery. You would really like that book. I'm almost done with these lashes. So let's get into A Witch's Journal, because I don't want to give away too much in the book. I feel like I did already. Too late. Whoops, I gave away too much and my bed is haunted. But you can get this on my website. I'll put the link in the caption below or in the description. I keep forgetting that I'm filming for YouTube because I do stuff for TikTok too. But anyway, so A Witch's Journal. Oh my gosh, where do I start with this book? It's so long. It's 4 parts. It's 4 parts. So A Witch's Journal. Let's start with part 1. So the protagonist's name is Lena Beckett, the girl on the book cover. And she is on her way to college. She's embarking her first year of college and she's ready to turn over a new leaf because she's been such an typecast in high school. Her adopted sister Camille, because um Lena Beckett is adopted, and she's adopted to a great, prestigious, well respected family in North Carolina. I think it was Charlotte. Is it Charlotte, North Carolina? I've never been there. I just made the place. I just wanted them to be somewhere like somewhere in Carolina. But anyway, so she's a respected family there in North Carolina, and well respected family. So she was raised around these people. They're good people, and she loves them like her own parents. She don't know who her real mother is. Not until she finds this journal in the basement of her home before she leaves, before she goes off to college in Batesville. And so she, on the way to her college campus for her first day, she reads this journal. She reads the part one of the journal. She finds out that this journal belongs to her mother, Athena Nanyongo, and she's a witch from South Africa. Hold on, just want to make sure these lashes. How these lashes looking? Are they giving? I hope so. So I'm gonna do bottom lashes too, but I gotta do my makeup first before I put those on because I don't want the foundation and stuff to get on the bottom lash before. Okay, anyway, so boom. She finds this journal, she begins reading it, she learns that this journal belonged to a witch named Athena Nyong'o, who is her mother, and who is also a wicked, 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 wicked witch. So Athena Nyong'o was evil. So that's what she learns, that's what she gathers through this journal. But she's learning like, oh my gosh, this is my bloodline, I'm a witch. So she finds out she's a witch, and then she's like discovering all these things. So when she goes to this college campus, it's not your typical college campus. This college campus was hundreds of years ago. It was a witch's lair for the Nyong'o witch tribe, or the coven of witches, which was where her mother was a part of. And so the grounds are cursed. The campus grounds are cursed. If you die there, your soul is trapped there. You cannot cross over. You cannot pass go. You cannot see the light. So it's spooky because being that she's a witch, she can see the dead, talk to the dead, touch the dead. It's gets really spooky for Lena Beckett here. So she gets to this college campus and she immediately begins running into many witches like her. That's a part of the Nyong'o tribe. Well, the coven that she's descended from. So how ironic, right? As soon as she goes there, she starts running into witches that a part of the coven that she descended from. So now they're all together, and then she had to throw in a love interest. Then she meets this boy named James Ely. He's dead, by the way. So he's a dead boy on campus. He's one of the souls that died there, and his soul is trapped there. But she ends up falling in love with him before she actually finds out that he's actually dead, you know. So, but when she falls in love with him and she finds out that he's dead now, she is determined to bring him back. She's like, I'm a witch. I know I have the power to resurrect. So she get to dabbling in dark magic. In a spell book that she found below the school in the tunnels. She goes to that spell book trying to find a spell to resurrect the dead boy that she fell in love with named James Ely. And she performed a spell called a life for a life spell, and that's her start, that's her journey. That life for a life spell, it shows that she is willing to do what it takes, and it can be good or bad how she turns out after using that life for a life spell. So I guess you can kind of gather what a life for a life spell is just based off of what it's called. It's basically she take a life and she gain another. So yeah, that unlocks doors to wickedness, by the way, FYI. And yeah, so it is a judge of her character if she's willing to kill someone to resurrect someone. But I'm not going to get into details on how she did it and why she did it and all those things. I want you to read the book, but trust me, how she does the spell does not make her a bad person. Given the life that she took, the person that she took, not saying it's right, but he had to go. Anyway, so that is the life for a life spell. So you get my drift. She brings him back. She brings the guy she fell in love with back. to life using her dark magic, her witchcraft. And she's a newbie witch, FYI. So for her to do this spell, she couldn't do it alone. She needed to she needed more power. So to do this spell, so she definitely channeled one of her friends, one of the witches one of the coven witches. And FYI, the ancient witches that she read about in her mother's journal, there's two different sets of witches in this book. The ancient witches and the new witches. The ancient witches are hundreds of years old and they died years ago. They are on the other side. Their souls are trapped on the college campus as well because they died there. Yep, they died there. And they're hunting the halls at night, scaring the hell out of these new witches. And I think I just did my brows so wrong. Like one is higher than the other, and I shouldn't have did that. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix that right there. But anyway, so these ancient witches on the other side, they are scaring the hell out of Lena on that college campus. And let me tell you why. Because Lena has everything to do to why they're dead right now. Everything to do with it. Because they're dead because Lena Beckett was supposed to be sacrificed. So about the ancient coven, they are to sacrifice a Nanyango baby, a baby of Nanyango bloodline, every 100 years to live in a life of immortality and power. So Lena Beckett, when she was born 19 years ago, she was supposed to have died for this coven to live another century, but her father ends up saving her from this ritual sacrifice. Her own mother was going to sacrifice her. And so, sorry, my lashes are kind of wet. So, being that she was saved and they weren't able to complete this ritual, they began dying off. Like they began aging fast. Like let's say if they were 300 years old, they would age rapidly to 300 years old. Basically, what I'm saying. But it was so they died basically because Lena Beckett lived. They died because she lived. And so I guess you can kind of understand why they was haunting the hell out of Lena on that college campus. They are so pissed off that she is alive. They're dead because of her. So, but they also need her too. Let's start there. They also need her to be resurrected. They need the new coven to resurrect them because they are all descendants or, people, bloodlines. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my. They're all, some of them descendants, some of them are just like, some of them are, they're just their ancestors. And so they need them to be resurrected. Sorry, I'm having complications with this brow right now. It is upsetting me. The ends of it is pissing me off. 1 second, I need to focus. But yes, so they try to they're on the other side. They're dead. They're on the other side, so they can't really do too much. But so that's why they're fighting to be resurrected. They want to be resurrected so that they can reign again, you know, in the new world. But Lena, she finds this out through the journal that about the intentions of this coming. And she's like, "Oh no, we can't have that." And y'all, and I got a solution to y'all haunting me too. So her friend Amber, which is also a part of the new coven, she's like, "Here, get this Matsui pendant. It's a pendant from South Africa that repels ghosts, that repels the dead, basically. So if you put that pendant on, if you have any physical access to this pendant, you're touching it, you're wearing it around your neck, it makes the ghosts go away. It makes them basically disappear to where you can't see them. It makes them invisible. Like they can be there, but they disappear to where you can't see them and they can't see you. Well, you know, well, they can see you, but they can't do anything. So that's what the Matsui pendant for. So she had a solution to surviving on the campus. So, because other than that, she was having some hard nights, trying to get some sleep with the demons hunting, the witches hunting her. Sorry, I'm just trying to look. This is a serious moment here. These eyebrows gotta be fixed. But there's the solution to that. But it doesn't stop that Matsui pendant. Her wearing that doesn't stop the other problems with the coven. You know how the new coven members, on college campus that she's now linked to. By the way, she's linked to her coven, and in order to fight the witches on the other side, they needed strength and power. So she fell prey to uh linking that coven when she shouldn't have. Honestly, she could have did without linking that coven. But she needed more power. She got tired of being called weak by her peers. She was like, "I'm not weak. I'm gonna show you. Yep. Let's link the coven." But what she failed to realize is linking that coven. It kind of does show that. It kind of gives that you are weak because you have to do that to be stronger. But Lena is very naive in part one. She's very gullible. She is not strong minded, so she will aggravate you in part one. But part two, oh, my girl gets some wits about herself. She's like, oh hell no, y'all will not manipulate me and make me do your bidding. And part two goes down. And as I remember, I said that they have to like sacrifice a baby every 100 years for them to be resurrected. So the dead witches on the other side other side are planning for this to happen again on the other side, so they can be brought back. So you know what that means? A 9-year-old baby got to be sacrificed. So you know what happens with Lena Beckett, our protagonist here, when she resurrects that boy she loved? I guess you can kind of guess what happens. Oh, yeah, she gets pregnant. She gets pregnant by James Ely, the boy she falls in love with. She gets pregnant and listen, I wrote so much. I'm trying to remember which part that I wrote that she got pregnant in. Part three. I think you find out in part two that she gets pregnant, and through part three, she's carrying the child. Oh Lord, y'all! I wrote so much in this book. I'm trying to remember which parts what. Sorry, I'm having mad issues with my eyebrows. It's like not going well right now. Okay, I'm gonna have to speed this makeup thing up because I want to make sure I have time to pack lunch for work. Yeah, big bag energy. But yeah, so I'm gonna speed this up. I'm gonna skip to the part where I'm actually done with my makeup because I don't have time to sit and talk. I'm running time is dwindling down. So I'll be right back with finished makeup look. Okay, I am officially done and I'm ready for work. And thank you for getting ready with me. I didn't have time to do the full look on video because I was rushing getting ready for work, but this is the finished look.